Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Go, Nitai Go. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gurudev, Gurudev. Jaya Om Vishnupat Paramhamsa Prabhu Jagacharya Stota Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shikha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Radha Kun Shama Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Birhad Murdanga Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande Hare Haribo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Hari Haribo. Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshruvam Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadam Tikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Deve Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpacharubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate kirim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. So today we are going to read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 14. This chapter is entitled The Disappearance of Lord Krishna. Today we have verse 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I would read 5, 6, 7, and then we can together read 8. Text 5. Nimittāni atyariṣṭāni kāle anugate nṛṇām lobhādy-adharma-prakṛtiṁ dṛṣṭvovācānujaṁ nṛpaḥ. Translation. In course of time, it came to pass that people in general became accustomed to greed, anger, pride, etc. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, observing all these omens, spoke to his younger brother. Srila Prabhupada's Purport. Such a pious king as Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira at once became perturbed when there were such inhuman symptoms as greed, anger, irreligiosity, and hypocrisy rampant in society. It appears from this statement that all these symptoms of degraded society were unknown to the people of the time, and it was astonishing for them to have experienced them with the advent of the Kali-yuga, or the age of coral. Just a small comment. Nowadays, these things very common. If someone is honest, not cheating, then it's very rare. It's completely different. Text 6. Yudhiṣṭhira vāca sampreshito dvarakayam jishnur bandhu didikshaya gyatum cha punya shlokasya krishnasya cha vichishtitam. Translation. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira said to his younger brother Bhimasen, I sent Arjuna to Dwarka to meet his friends and to learn from the personality of Godhead Krishna of his program of work. Text 7. Gata saptaduna masa Bhimasena tavanujam nayatikasya vahitur naham videdam anjasa. Translation. Since he departed, 7 months have passed, yet he has not returned. I do not know factually how things are going there. Text 8. Please repeat after me. Abhidevarshinaddhishta sakaloyam upastita yadatmanongam akridam Bhagavan utsisukshati Abhidevarshinaddhishta sakaloyam upastita yadatmanongam akridam Bhagavan utsisukshati Abhidevarshinaddhishta sakaloyam upastita yadatmanongam akritam Bhagavan utsishikshati abhidevarshinaadishtaha sakaloyam upastita yadatmanongam akritam Bhagavan utsishikshati Sakaloyam upastita yadatmanongam akritam Bhagavan utsishikshati abhidevarshinaadishtaha sakaloyam upastita yadatmanongam akritam Bhagavan utsishikshati. Vaishnavis. Abhidevarshinaadishtaha sakaloyam upastita yadatmanongam akritam Bhagavan utsishikshati. Word for word. Abhi, whether. Devarishina, by the demigod saint. Narada, Adishtaha, instructed. Saha, that. Kalaha, eternal time. Ayam, this. Upatishtaha, arrived. Yada, when. Atmanaha, of his own self. Angam, plenary portion. Akridam, manifestation. Bhagavan, personality of Godhead. Utsishikshati, is going to quit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Is he going to quit his earthly pastimes? As Devarshi Narada indicated, has that time already arrived? I recently found out that in Vrindavan, the devotees would repeat with the lecturer of the translation. Actually, it's a very good practice, so we do that also. Please repeat after me. Is he going to quit his earthly pastimes? As Devarshi Narada indicated, has that time already arrived? Actually, this is corresponding with last chapter, chapter 13, verse 50. In that 50th verse, Narada is indicating to Yudhiṣṭhira and the other members of the Pandavas. Actually, Krishna is going to depart. But Narada, also like Vidura, he didn't say directly. He simply said, you just wait. Purport. As we have discussed many times, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, has many plenary expansions, and each and every one of them, although equally powerful, executes different functions. In Bhagavad-Gita, there are different statements by the Lord, and each of these statements is meant for different plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions. For example, Sri Krishna, the Lord, says in Bhagavad-Gita, "Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself." Bhagavad-Gita 4.7. To deliver the faithful, to annihilate the miscreants, and also to re-establish the principles of occupational duty, I appear in every age. Bhagavad-Gita 4.8. If I should cease to work, then all humanity would be misdirected. I would also be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all sentient beings. Bhagavad-Gita 3.24. Whatever action a great man performs, common men will follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Bhagavad-Gita 3.21. We just read 4 shlokas from Bhagavad-Gita, and actually this describes in detail about Krishna's mission in this material world. And although here didn't quote the Sanskrit, but I would like to point out one important Sanskrit in 4.7, the last line, tadatmanam srijamyaham, especially the word srijami. Srijami means manifest. And also in today's shloka, there is also an interesting word, the third line, last word, prakṛtim, manifestation. I especially like to point out to our dear devotees because manifest, that means Krishna's body is not created. It is not material. He just manifests. This is actually pointed out by Srila Prabhupada in the Purport of Bhagavad-Gita 4.7. Srijami, manifest. So Krishna's body is not created, it's not like us. Therefore, Krishna is always on the transcendental platform, not on the material platform. So we remember this point, and it would become helpful for us to understand today's purport. So Srila Prabhupada's purport continued. All the above statements by the Lord apply to different plenary portions of the Lord, namely his expansions such as Sankarsam, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Narayana. These are all he himself in different transcendental expansions, and still the Lord as Sri Krishna functions in a different sphere of transcendental exchange with different grades of devotees. And yet, Lord Krishna as he is, appears once every 24 hours of Brahma's time, or after a lapse of 8,640,000,000 solar years in each and every universe. And all his transcendental pastimes are displayed in each and every universe in a routine spool. But in that routine spool, the functions of Lord Krishna, Lord Vasudeva, etc., are complex problems for the layman. There is no difference between the Lord's self and the Lord's transcendental body. The expansions execute differential activities. When the Lord, however, appears in his person as Lord Sri Krishna, his other plenary portions also join in him by his inconceivable potency, called Yoga Maya, and thus the Lord Krishna of Vrindavan is different from the Lord Krishna of Mathura or the Lord Krishna of Dwarka. The Virata Rupa of Lord Krishna is also different from him by his inconceivable potency. The Virat Rupa exhibited on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is a material conception of his form. Therefore, it should be understood that when Lord Krishna was apparently killed by the bow and arrow of the hunter, the Lord left his so-called material body in the material world. The Lord is Kaivalya, and for him there is no difference between matter and spirit, because everything is created from him. Therefore, his quitting one sort of body or accepting another body does not mean that he is like the ordinary living being. All such activities are simultaneously one and different by his inconceivable potency. When Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was lamenting the possibility of his disappearance, it was just in pursuance of a custom of lamenting the disappearance of a great friend. But factually, the Lord never quits his transcendental body, as is misconceived by less intelligent persons. Such less intelligent persons have been condemned by the Lord himself in Bhagavad-Gita, and they are known as the mūಢās. That the Lord left his body means that he left again his plenary portions in the respective dhammas, transcendental abodes, as he left his virat rupa in the material world. I would like to repeat the last sentence because it is very interesting and very profound. So please listen carefully. That the Lord left his body means that he left again his plenary portions in the respective dhammas, transcendental abodes, as he left his virat rupa in the material world. So let us see the whole structure. The whole structure is here at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now we're discussing chapter 14, entitled The Departure of Lord Krishna. Although this is the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, also actually the first and second canto serves almost like a prelude to the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. But the interesting thing is, we find out here, the beginning of Bhagavatam, it starts with the end of the story. The end of the story is Krishna's departure from this material world. So it's very interesting. And also in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are conversations and conversations. And this, if in sequence, in the first canto, this is the sixth dialogue, sixth conversation. And this conversation is discussing about the departure of Lord Krishna and his dear associates. And this conversation is composed by 3 chapters, starting from chapter 13, then 14, and then 15. And also in this 14th chapter, the first 21 verses is like a small unit. The first 21 verses is discussing one theme, that is, Arjuna didn't come back from Dwarka on schedule, and the inauspicious omens manifest. So from shloka number 1 up to number 21, discussing this theme. And now today, what we're discussing, apparently like a sad story. Krishna is leaving this material world, but actually everything is his pastime. How we understand this is his pastime? Because we can also see the other places. In Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the 11th canto, chapter 6, and there is Lord Brahma, he's offering prayers to Lord Krishna, along with all the demigods, and also how Lord Krishna is replying to Lord Brahma. Why I am mentioning this chapter 6 of Canto 11? Because that chapter, that place is also discussing this pastime. How the Yadu dynasty, they retreats to Prabhasa. And also from the verse 21 to 27, that is Lord Brahma, he's talking with Krishna. And then from 11.6.28 to 31 is Lord Krishna's replies to Brahma. And in that part, Brahma, he first offered prayers, and then he's telling Lord Krishna, "Oh, my Lord, you have completed your duty in this material world. What is duty? We just read in the purport. Represented by Bhagavad-Gita 4.7 to 8. Parichanaya sadhunam vinashaya duskritam. So Brahma told Krishna, my dear Lord, you have already removed all the burdens from the earth. Krishna already killed all those demons. And then Krishna also established the principle of religion. And also Krishna performed so many wonderful pastimes. And his glories is spread all over the universe. And whoever can hear such glories will be purified and thus become free from the entanglement of the material world. So Lord Brahma said, okay, now everything is done. So on behalf of the demigods, before Lord Brahma, he and all the demigods, they went to the milk ocean at the shore. They are reciting Purusha Sukta mantras. They are begging the Lord, please come, incarnate yourself. Please help us to remove the burdens of the earth. Now that mission is completed. Mission completed. So now, my dear Lord, you can go back, you can return to your spiritual abode. But still, we need your protection. And Brahma said, now on behalf of you, we means himself, Lord Shiva, and the other demigods would execute the managerial affairs in this material world. But still he's praying for the Lord's protection. And what the Lord says something very interesting, starting from 11.6.28 to 31. So Lord Krishna explained, I have to destroy my own dynasty. Actually, this conversation between Krishna and Brahma, when happened? That is after the battle of Kurukshetra. But that is before the whole Yadu dynasty got annihilated. So Brahma went to Dwarka city to meet with Krishna and submitted his prayers, said, my Lord, your mission is completed, and you now please go back to your spiritual abode. And then Krishna explained, I have to destroy my own dynasty because they're too much powerful. And they become so proud. If I leave this material world and then I leave them here, then they would create like a big havoc for the whole world. Therefore, Krishna says, by the curse of the great sages, actually the process of my own dynasty's annihilation already begun. And Krishna told Lord Brahma, it's like a friend, because in the later chapters we can find out our Lord Brahma in this universe, the four-headed Brahma, he had a personal, friendly relationship with Krishna. He is Krishna's friend. So Krishna, when he's talking with Brahma, is also like a friend. Krishna said, okay, I'm going back, but on my route to Vaikuntha, I will pay a small visit to your planet. This is Krishna told Brahma. This is very, very sweet exchanges. So when we are talking about Krishna's disappearance, the title is disappearance, but sometimes we notice the acharyas and great devotees, when they give comments, they would like to use the word departure. Because departure, I believe every one of you, once in your lifetime, you take a bus ride, you take a train ride, maybe you take flight. So there's also a place called a departure. What does it mean? That means you departed from here and you would arrive in another place. So Krishna is also like that. Krishna's appearance and disappearance is just like the sun. The sun rises in this place, that means the sun disappeared from another place. And the sun, if the sun disappears in this place, that means the sun would rise in another place. And Krishna's pastime is also like that. And if we reflect Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions to Sanatana Goswami in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, especially the 20th chapter, that is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions to Sri Sanatana Goswami about the science of absolute truth. In that chapter, especially starting from verse 391 up to verse 397. The discussion is about Krishna's pastimes rotation, especially starting from Madhya Lila, chapter 20, verse 391. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, he said, just like the sun has an orbit, the sun has an orbit and the sun is moving according to this orbit. So Lord Krishna's pastimes also has an orbit. And also just like we know all the different planets, they are moving on the zodiac. So Krishna's pastimes is also like the movement of a constellation. It moves on his transcendental zodiac. So Krishna's pastimes is expanding to all the universes. And Srila Prabhupada said, actually in every day of Lord Brahma, we know from this purport, Prabhupada mentioned every day is like 8,640,000,000 solar years. Half is Brahma's daytime and half is Brahma's nighttime. And during his daytime, every day Lord Krishna would appear once for 125 years. It's like a schedule. So Krishna's appearance is on schedule. Although Arjuna didn't return from Dwarka on schedule. Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is perplexing. Why? He asked Bhima's son, I sent him 7 months ago, but still not coming back. And now these ill omens, the inauspicious omens appeared, manifested. What happened? If Krishna is still on the earth, it is not possible something inauspicious would happen. But only there's one kind of situation such things could happen. That means Krishna already disappeared. So he suspected that. And is feeling great lamentation in his heart. But we should know how to understand Krishna's appearance and disappearance. Otherwise, like Srila Prabhupada mentioned in this purport, Krishna's disappearance would become a complex for the layman. For the neophytes, it's like so complicated we cannot understand. Because Krishna's pastimes, starting from the one he killed Putana, the witch, up to Moshana Lila, the annihilation of all the members of the Yadu dynasty, everything happened very, very wonderful. Although Krishna is performing human-like pastimes, but all his human-like pastimes is not on the ordinary mundane plane. It is completely transcendental. Because who can kill a witch? Only a few days, like a newborn baby. And who can lift Govardhan Hill, a big hill with the small finger of his left hand, also for 7 days? And from the commentary of the previous acharyas, especially Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he mentions, he said maybe someone would doubt. There is so much downpouring rain sent by Indra through his Samvartaka clouds, and so much rain. Even we have an umbrella, you can hold the rain, but then should be flood. But there is not one drop of water on the ground. Because simply by Krishna's inconceivable potency, as soon as the raindrops fell on the earth, it evaporates, got absorbed. So nobody is disturbed. Even the grass, the creepers, the flowers, trees. That is how wonderful Krishna it is. And later, he married more than 16,000 wives, and he stays simultaneously with each one of them. So Krishna is his Bhakta Vatsalya, he's reciprocating with his devotees. He did this, he married all of them and make all these dear intimate associates become his dear queens, because he wants them to flow, like flowing in the ocean of loving ecstasy. He's reciprocating the love with them. And so many pastimes are like completely inconceivable. Not an ordinary human being can perform. But the end, this departure, more difficult. Among all his human-like pastimes, the most difficult to understand is this part, his departure. And also when we are reading the purport, this shloka, we deliberately read the last sentence twice. Why? Because there is a big secret in that sentence. That sentence contains a profound secret and also give us a lot of hope. This sentence said that the Lord left his body means that he left again his plenary portions in the respective dhammas, transcendental abodes, as he left his virat rupa in the material world. And when we see plenary portions, and in the early part of the purport it is mentioned who are his plenary portions, because in Bhagavatam, different places, maybe they use the same words, but they have different annotations or connotations. And in the early parts of the purport, it is mentioned Krishna's plenary portions refers to his Chaturvriha expansions, Sankarshan, Vasudeva, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and the Narayans. And how to understand this? Only by Guru and Gauranga's mercy, by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy, we can understand this. Because actually, 2 days ago when I got the assignment to give Bhagavatam class today, I read through all the purports. I find this part is very difficult to understand. And last evening, I got a chance. I asked His Holiness Krishna Ketra Maharaj about this sentence, and he enlightened me, and I would like to share his answer with all of you. So, according to Krishna Ketra Maharaj, he said, how Krishna, he left, but he leaves his plenary portions in this material world, in the holy dhammas, the Lord's transcendental abodes. It refers to the deities. And His Holiness Krishna Ketra Maharaj fondly remembers how he observed Srila Prabhupada is having darshan of the deities. He said, when Srila Prabhupada is having darshan of the deities, there is a distinct feeling. What kind of feeling? Distinct feeling. Distinct feeling that at that moment, Krishna is with him. Please think, how can we get that kind of experience? We also see pure devotees, especially some of our beloved senior pujaris. Out of humility, he doesn't want me to mention his name in Bhagavatam class, so I follow his order. But you know who he is. We can see when he is with the deities, even we can recollect from our memories before how he's showing Mira to Sri Sri Radha Madhava Astavanda Sakis. And how now, when he's looking at the deities, that moment is very attractive. We are feeling so much attracted. We see how the pure devotees, also other Srila Prabhupada's disciples, how they are participating in Guru Puja. They are offering Pushpanjali to Srila Prabhupada, or they are praying to the deities. They are seeing the deities. Why we are got attracted? Because we feel, we also have that distinct feelings. That time, Krishna, that moment, Krishna and Srila Prabhupada is with him, with those senior devotees. And because of that, we got attracted. And that is our hope. That is our hope, hope against hope. One day we also get that kind of attraction to Krishna, to the pure devotees, to Srila Prabhupada, to Prabhupada's disciples, his grand disciples. And then if we develop that attraction, we have hope of also going back to Godhead, also join the eternal pastimes of Lord Krishna. Because in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the chapter I mentioned earlier, chapter 20, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructing Sanatana Goswami about the science of the absolute truth. It is mentioned Krishna's pastimes is eternally going on, like the sun, eternally shining everywhere. And Krishna's pastimes, he killed Putana in this universe, and immediately next moment, same pastime happened. That's why Anantashesh, he has thousands and thousands of mouths. And from the beginning of the creation, we say the beginning, actually we cannot even trace the beginning, there's no beginning. But just give us a comparative idea, because we are used to something has a beginning. That means from time immemorial, Lord Anantashesh, he's describing Krishna's pastimes. But even now, he cannot complete one day's pastime because it is eternal. He killed Putana in this universe, immediately next moment, he killed Putana in another universe. And then immediately in next universe, he killed Putana. And all his pastimes rotating on schedule. And during Lord Brahma's one day, there are 1,000 Chatur-yugas. And during that 1,000 Chatur-yugas, there are 14 manus. And Krishna always arrives on the 7th manu. And that period, everything on schedule is like completely a science. Why we discuss this in much detail? Because it is a science. We read the scripture, we understand. Oh, there's a time for the start of spring. There's a time for the starting of the summer, autumn, and winter. Of course, in India, we have 6 seasons. And here also mentions, Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna would stay, when he appears, he would stay in this manifested material world for 125 autumns. Why give us such detailed knowledge from the scriptures? Because Krishna wants to convince us this is a science. So we should change our whole perspective. Otherwise, there's no hope. And I would like to remind everyone about the last sentence in the purport of the previous verses. Verse number 3 in this 14th chapter. What Prabhupada said in that purport at the end. He said, all these anomalies in the human society, the cause is ignorance. We know people are cheating, even between father and the son, even between husband and wife. They should have very intimate, like most intimate relationship, most loving relationship in this world. But they are cheating each other, even the friends. We make friends because we want to do business. You give me some benefits, I also give you some benefits. You can use me, I can use you. We are mutually exploiting each other for better benefit, better profits. That is very sad. This is anomalies, but anomalies now become normal. And this is due to the ignorance. And how to get rid of those ignorance? Prabhupada mentioned the last sentence of verse 3. He said, by Srimad Bhagavatam, how to get rid of the ignorance? Ignorance is like darkness. And we need light. We need the divine light to dissipate this darkness. So Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly like the brilliant sun, dissipating the ignorance of Kali-yuga. That's why on this board it is mentioned here, Krishnasvadharma-prakṛtiṁ dharma-gnādi-bhisaha kalo nāsadrisham puranako dunoditaha. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse 43. The meaning of this shloka is, this Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, as it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Therefore, this is our ultimate hope. This sunshine like Srimad Bhagavatam, Amala Puranam, will dissipate all the darkness, ignorance in our hearts. And then that is our hope, to join the eternal pastime of Krishna. So I remember once I was traveling with a very senior devotee, I was translating for him. And we would go from one city to another city. And after 2-3 days in this city, we're going to the airport and that is our departure from this place, where we're going to another place. And I could see all the devotees in that city, they remained on the other side of the gate. And they're crying. At that moment, I feel so fortunate. I'm thinking, because I'm going with the spiritual master, I'm going with the senior devotee to next destination. This pastime is going on, so I'm not feeling that much kind of like despondent or hopeless. They're really crying. They're crying out their eyes. I believe you all have such feelings. When we have to depart, we have to be separated from someone who are very near to us. Not mention who are like our spiritual father. That time we feel so much separation, but there is a hope that we don't feel this separation, because if we can join their pastimes, and if we know by preaching, by doing our daily sadhana, we are guaranteed to join them in the next destination, then no need for us to lament for anything. For that wonderful destination, we try to understand through Shastra Chaksus, through Guru, Sadhu and Sastra, how Krishna appears, how Krishna disappears. Everything is transcendental. Then we will get the real blessing from Krishna. And this would completely change our perspective. Because for a pure devotee, his state of existence is completely different. Because we already started to practice Krishna consciousness, from time to time we can experience some kind of bliss, some kind of happiness. But due to our lower nature, we again become despondent, situated in the ignorance. At that time we need more association to uplift ourselves. But try to think, what is the state of a pure devotee's consciousness? How he experiences, how we experiences. This Srimad Bhagavatam, this knowledge, is to help us to change our experience in our existence in this material world. And for a pure devotee, I noticed one devotee is taking notes. I would give the verse number. If you look at Srimad Bhagavatam, the 11th canto, I think it's 20th chapter. It's a conversation between Mahārāja Nimi and the Nava-yogandras, the 9 Paramahamsa sons of Ursabhadeva. They were talking 9 different questions. And the second question, Mahārāja Nimi asked Nava-yogandra, and they are answering one by one. The second one from the Nava-yogandra, Javier, he answering, and in that purport, it's like 11.20 point, starting from 40 to 45, one of the long purports. It is mentioned that a pure devotee, from moment to moment, he only experiences ecstasy of how to satisfy Krishna's transcendental desires. That is how they feel. But how we feel different. So next time, please don't allow yourself to become despondent. Don't allow yourself to be pulled by the lower nature. We think about those pure devotees. Right now, we know so many senior devotees in our movement are in very critical health situation, especially His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj. He's in Chennai. He's in ICU. What about his consciousness? Today is a Friday. Last Friday, exactly 1 week ago, he gave the last evening Gaura Bhagavatam class. And during that class, if you have time, I beg every one of you, if possible, you spend only 5 seconds to listen to the beginning of his class. In this beginning 5 seconds, what can you hear? You can hear how much effort Maharaj is making in order just to pronounce the first syllable of his kirtan.
You can feel that. How much he's using all his strength. All his strength he's using. And before that, all the devotees in Zoom are praying. We are chanting and chanting for half an hour, using with our heart and soul. We are chanting to pray for him, to get together enough strength so he can speak about the glorious Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then after praying at least a half an hour together, he tried his very best to pronounce the first syllable of kirtan. And then he continued to give class. The servants, personal servants, secretaries are reminding him, Maharaj, you can stop. You don't have to do this. Oh, doctors only give you 10 minutes time. You can give class. You don't overexert yourself. But he continued. And he also said, oh, for today's Zoom visit, I cannot cover all the devotees due to my health problem. I'm still recuperating from my COVID. But you know what happened? He starts almost at 10 p.m. his class. And he finished 11. And he feels so ecstatic. During the whole class, you can hear his coughing mucus and he's coughing like you feel his lung is coming out. The devotees watching his class, I saw in Zoom, including myself, we are crying with tears. But he's laughing. He's laughing. He's completely absorbed in that transcendental pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this should be our meditation. And back to the last sentence of today's purport, our hope is the deities. Our hope is very near to us. As my Prabhupada says, we have Shri Shri Radha Madhavas, the Vrindasakis, Shri Shri Panchatattva, and Prahlad Nrsimhadev. And for the devotees online, I'm sure you have your own Radha Samasundar, Radha Rasa Bihari, and Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. That is our hope. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, Verse 7, in Srila Prabhupada's Purport, there is a very interesting sentence. Srila Prabhupada said, Paramatma, the Super Soul, he is situated in the hearts of all living beings. And for all the devotees who think of the Paramatma, for all the devotees who think of the Super Soul, they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the temple deity. Hare Krishna. We have a few minutes left, so if anyone has a comment, question, yes, Prabhuji, we find the mic. Otherwise, you can speak very loudly. Can I paraphrase your question? And I want to make clear I understand your question properly. So you mentioned when Krishna comes, he also comes with all his abodes and all his transcendental associates. And one of his missions, as mentioned in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, he quotes from verse number 8 of Bhagavad-Gita chapter 4. He's protect his devotees, annihilates the demons, and he's coming. Also, some of his intimate devotees like Draupadi and Arjuna, the Pandavas, he protects only these devotees, or he protects the other devotees, or all of the devotees? Is this your question? Can you please clarify?
I meant just a little bit beyond that, so it's like he's talking about the devotees who are already living here. I mean, not associates, because associates already, I mean, coming along with him. So, and because he's appearing for that purpose. So, if he's appearing for that purpose, so it is like he's bringing his associates, giving, I mean, they are getting trouble, and then he's protecting, and the meaning is that he's coming to give the protection to the devotees. So, like, little.
Hare Krishna. I thank you for this question, because this question is related to a very profound answer in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Krishna comes on schedule, and there are different perspectives to view Krishna's pastimes. We can make distinct difference, like this group, that group. But actually, if we see from Krishna's personal point of view, everything he's doing is like a pastime. And everything he's doing is to increase the love of his devotees towards him. And who are his devotees? Everyone. Aham bija pradapita. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita, I am the seed-giving father of everyone. So everyone is his dear devotees. That's why sometimes himself coming, sometimes he sends his personal representatives as gurus, sadhus, and he also sends the sastras. Also, in Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned Krishna is constantly talking with every one of us in the form of kala, time. We know we have wrinkles, white hair, and we know Krishna is talking with us. Hey, you have to think about death. And from this perspective, we understand when Krishna comes, his dear associates join his pastimes, like making a drama, to attract the other, like we are now like marginal devotees, not so close to his inner circle. We need to be attracted. And then Krishna would use these pastimes to inspire us to join his eternal pastimes. So, in one sense, we see all his eternally liberated devotees, they are also suffering in this material world. Like, there is a famous question in Govardhan Lila. Why Krishna allows the Vrajavasis, his dearmost associates, to suffer? Because when they saw the Samvartaka clouds are coming, the wind are coming, they are in great anxiety. Are Krishna allowing his dear associates to be inflicted by the pains caused by some insignificant demigods, by this material world, by this mortal world? No. Krishna won't allow his intimate associates to suffer like this. This is only by his divine arrangement. Seemingly they are suffering, but Krishna allows how much seemingly they are suffering, because in the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam related to this Govardhan Lila, there's one nice metaphor. It says, just like someone's very much hungry, then how much he's hungry, then when the time comes, he get excellent food, he would relish it like anything. So Krishna apparently arranging some of these like afflictions, pains, sufferings, miseries for his personal associates, just to make them relish more when he performs wonderful pastimes, when he wonderfully lifts up the Govardhan hill, and everyone underneath the hill continuously 7 days, 7 nights, together enjoying Krishna's constant companion and constant pastimes, they feel so much happy. And just like separation, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions, the separation exists only because it can increase the flavor of union. That's why separation is useful. Otherwise, separation has no use. Sambhog and vipralamba, rotating. And so when we see the sufferings of this material world, and when we see Krishna's protection, we should understand, we bear this point in our mind. Actually, there's no real suffering. Everything is for the pastime. We are thinking this is like so much, an insurmountable ocean, but for Krishna, it is nothing. And if we can understand in this way, because one day, although now we are conditioned, we're nitya bhada,
We're conditioned from time immemorial. But when one day we got liberated, we're along with those nitya-siddhas. Everyone's perfect. There's no difference how you get perfection. You get imperfection by your sadhana, by kripa, or by some other means. Doesn't matter. We're on the same level. We join Krishna's pastimes. So from this level, we feel that Krishna is protecting everyone, every single living entity of this world. Not only this universe, but so many material universes. And he's continuously performing his pastimes to attract us, to make us get that flavor. So through these seemingly adversities, and then we feel his loving exchanges coming and manifested in the form of protection. Then we feel it is so wonderful to be with Krishna. Then you don't want to hanker for anything else. Hare Krishna. I don't know if this answered your question or not. Yes, please.
Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mataji, the last line, you have told that he left again his plenary portion in the respective dhammas, that the deity he left. But what about that he left his Virat Rupa in the material world? Both the deity he left that you want to mention?
Yes. The deities. The deity actually contains the Chaturvyuha, and deity contains Paramatma. Also, the transcendental dhammas, they're not only limited, like whatever we say, geographically, Vrindavan or Mayapur or Jagannath Puri. Also, pure devotees' hearts, they also carry the dhammas inside their hearts. Hare Krishna. Oh, we can discuss after the class. Would you mind? So, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.